Welcome to Q&A Mondays here at MH News. I'm your host, Matt Haslam. Now, if you'd like your question read on the show, please email us at questions@mhnews.info. You can check out our episodes every Monday and Thursday for Q&As every Monday and how-to episodes every Thursday. And for a while, we're going to be on the road behind the scenes of our productions on Thursday episodes. So check for that right here at mhnews.info. First question today: how do you approach a new project that you are not directing? Well, the first part about that is to get a script that the director generally has, and you read through the entire script and figure out exactly what the overall message is going to be. What is the script about? Is it about a sci-fi movie? Is it about a horror movie? Is it a comedy? What type of feel are they going for? And then you want to meet with the director, because you don't want to get a bunch of ideas on how to film this if the director has a completely different vision of the project. Because remember, as a cinematographer, your main goal as a DP basically is to carry out the message and the approach of the director, and you're basically there to figure out the logistics and the technical side of it, side of the project. So remember that you're not the director, so basically you're just there to help be an extension, the right arm of the director. So I think the first thing is just meet with the director after you read the script and figure out what their vision is. If they have a storyboard, work through that storyboard with them. Figure out, what's realistic, and then go through the script again, make all your notes, and figure out exactly how you're going to do all of those scenes. A lot of times the director won't actually have a storyboard already. Sometimes they don't have a storyboard. Sometimes they're just flying off the cuff, and that's okay. Some directors have one, some don't. Some feel it gets in the way. And so generally what you want to do is you want to work through every scene and make sure it's realistic. For instance, if they have in the script or something like that you have this big, huge action scene with a bunch of different things going on, and that's just not in their budget, and you generally, if it's like special effects or something like that, then they know exactly what budget they need as a director. But if it's a certain scene where you need very specific cameras that are really expensive to rent, or if you need very specific lights to rent, such as, if you need a Red Dragon camera that, costs, what is it, $5,000 a day to rent or something like that. I'm just ballparking that. But if you need that kind of camera and you can't afford it in your budget for the overall project, then you need to scale back your script a little bit. And if you need certain lights or something like that as well, or you need certain sound equipment, then, if you don't have the budget for it, then you need to scale back your script and work with the director one-on-one to figure out all that logistical side of things and the technical side. So work with them and figure out what's realistic and how to go about doing every single scene in the movie. Once you have all that done, then you can finally do your thing, and generally the director will let you go off on your own, and basically you're hired to be a cinematographer and a DP. So, they don't want to micromanage you generally, but it's your job to make sure that everything gets done according to the script. But you need to figure out what the script basically is. That's basically what you're doing initially. Figuring out the script, figure out what the director wants of that script, and figure out what's realistic of the script. That's how you approach a new project that you're not the director of. Because remember, you can't go on set and just be in charge. You're in charge of your department. So keep all that in mind. Next question: how do you choose the camera position? Well, generally what I'll do is I'll take a second camera with me. And I know this is a very small camera, but I'll generally have this on my pocket or something like that, and on my belt, and then I'll just pull out this camera. And this is a Kodak EasyShare Z730. It's a very primitive camera for what you're using on the actual films and stuff like that, but it does have a screen back here, and that's all you're really looking for. You can use a camcorder, you can use a snapshot camera like this, whatever you want. Just basically have a camera in your pocket you can bring out. First off, this offers you a way to get behind the scenes photos. Second off, it allows you to see on the back screen here what your shot's going to look like. So rather than taking 10 minutes to set up a tripod with your camera, 20 minutes for a slider shot, or setting up a jib, which takes generally about 45 minutes to set up, well then, rather than spending all that time and then figuring out if that position of the camera works or not, you don't want to do that. You don't want to waste time on set. So I'll have a camera like this on me and figure out where the shot's going to be, see it on the screen back here, and then go, oh, that looks nice right here. And then if I have a first AC or a cameraman with me, I'll say, I want the camera here at this height or whatever. But if I'm on set by myself, then I'll just put a mark on the floor with some gaff tape, which is another very useful thing to always have on you, is just a little bit of gaff tape. You really only need like 1-inch gaff tape generally, but just have gaff tape there and just put it on the floor or mark with your foot in the grass or something like that, whatever it takes to make that mark on the ground, and then you shoot the scene from that angle. That way you can frame it up, you can say, oh, this works, no it doesn't work, I had to move the camera, and that way you're not moving this huge rig that costs a lot of money and possibly damaging it, but you're also not taking a lot of time to set up the shot and then having to set up the shot 5 times. So that's generally what I'll do. Plus it offers a way to get behind the scenes photos. Next question. How close do you usually get to work with the colorist of a film? Well, generally, for what I do, I'm the colorist. So I work with him very closely. But on a lot of projects and stuff like that, you're going to notice as a DP, you're working with the director mostly, and then the director works with the colorist. So generally when I'm doing a scene, I'll write down the Kelvin level, which is the color temperature of the light that I'm using, and that way I'm generally not mixing light between color temperatures for too much, because it's going to be hard for the colorist in editing to do. But I'll write down whatever Kelvin temperature the light is, I'll write that on the back of the clapboard, and then quickly have my AC turn that clapboard around every single shot. That way the colorist knows what temperature we shot that under. I'll write down what white balance I used on the camera. I'll write down all the specifics, everything. Like we have a cheat sheet of all the different things that we need to write down before we hit record. And that way when I give it to colorist, if I'm working with another colorist besides myself, when I give it to them, they have all that information that they need, all of that information, all the technical things of what levels you were at to figure out how to color the scene to a natural state. And that way it's easy for them, because during production it takes a minute to write everything down, but it takes an hour to figure that out as a colorist if it's not written down somewhere. So think things out and all the way through. Last question. What are 2 most essential pieces of lighting gear? I think the first is, if you're talking beyond what micro budget filmmaking is, using the sun and the sun only, and using like bounce cards that you find at Walmart. I think the next one would be like can lights that you find at Home Depot, and they're really cheap, but I would have a fluorescent bulb in them rather than use fluorescence and not halogen, and that way you're not having a crappy color in your color temperature. Because if you use halogen, you're getting this awful yellow glow to your scene, and you just don't want that. So I would actually just use fluorescent bulbs in it, and I have very specific bulbs from my soft boxes that I just put into can lights that I bought at Home Depot to make sure that I'm using the same color temperature for my entire scene. And then I also have a little small softbox, and I think that's the next thing you're going to need, is at least one softbox. That way you can light without having this harsh light. So you can have your key light be a can light from Home Depot, maybe some diffusion on it, maybe not. Generally I don't use diffusion paper, but then on a softbox it gives you that diffusion with the softbox itself. So I would definitely have a softbox, at least one. Once you get beyond that, then I would talk maybe with some LEDs and stuff like that, and work your way up from that, because LEDs are how you do a lot of different lighting nowadays. Because keep in mind, softboxes take a lot of time to set up, and halogen or fluorescent bulbs, whatever kind of bulbs you're using, are fragile when you're on the road. So I would use as many LED lights as possible, and there's LED banks that have daylight, have whatever kind of color temperature you're looking for. They have LEDs nowadays for that. So I would get some LEDs once you have a budget, but at first the two most essential are can lights from Home Depot and a softbox at least. And from there on you can work with other stuff, bigger stuff as you need it. But that's our questions for today. If you'd like your question read on the show, please email us at questions@mhnews.info. And you can also check out our brand new episodes every Monday and Thursday from now on. Thursday's episodes are going to be on the road, and this week we're taking you behind the scenes of an interview we did. So look forward to that. Have a good one and see us next time. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to our channel for new episodes airing every Monday through Thursday. Have a good one.